The man accused of luring a 9-year-old boy to his death in Chicago is now behind bars. Corey Morgan has been charged with first-degree murder in the execution-style shooting of Tyshawn Lee. Lee was killed earlier this month in an alley near his grandmother's house. Investigators say that Lee was caught in the middle of a gang rivalry, and today police vowed to go after both gangs.
They're going to be obliterated. That gang just signed its own death warrant because all along, from day one, when we knew the circumstances of this being gang interaction, I said, prepare the plan, don't jeopardize the investigation, but we're going to go and destroy that gang now. And, by the way, the rival gang too. We're going to assign resources to ensure that neither one of those gangs can raise its head again.
Crimesider's Graham Cates is here for us this afternoon. And Graham, I have to ask, what's the evidence against Corey Morgan, and how did police kind of catch up with him?
Police haven't said what exactly has tied him to the murder, but he's been a suspect from pretty early on. And he was actually arrested last week for a gun charge, but that was, police said that gun was unrelated to this one, although it was the same caliber as the one used to kill this boy. And he was arrested that time with a second man. And police have said there's another person in custody, and they haven't verified if that person is the same one that they're tying to this murder. And they're also actually searching for one other person who will be tried with murder if they catch him. His name is Kevin Edwards, and they're saying that they believe he knows that they've been looking for him and that he's hiding out somewhere.
Wow. Since the beginning, police have said that Tyshawn May has been the target because of this gang affiliation, that his father was maybe originally the target. They went after the little boy to really show, double down, I guess, on creating this horrible act on this little boy. But the father keeps saying that he has no gang affiliation. So what do we need to sort out here?
Right. His father does deny everything. But what police are saying is that Corey Morgan's brother was recently murdered, and they think that this was retribution for that. They think it's at least the third in a string of killings that are going back and forth between two gangs. And they're not saying specifically which gangs they are, because they said that in Chicago and actually in a lot of cities, everything's kind of broken into these really kind of hyper-local factions. And so they're saying, this is really two groups of people that have been having issues with each other.
Well, I know we heard the police chief just a few moments ago saying that he wants to obliterate these gangs. But when you go and do that, doesn't that create kind of an atmosphere where then other gangs can try to take over the streets? It can cause kind of a negative atmosphere.
Yeah, this is something that Chicago has heard before, this kind of really familiar pattern where there's a particularly heinous crime where a child gets killed, and then the police say this gang is going to be wiped off the face of the city. There's a famous case from 2011 where a gang called the Maniac Latin Disciples were behind the deaths of 2 children in a park. And over the next year, police arrested 2,000 people they said were associated with that gang. But what happened is, if you take away the group that controls a territory, Chicago has dozens of gangs and hundreds of factions within those gangs, and everyone tries to fill the territory. So one of the things that's going to be interesting going forward is to say, is this going to be any different? Are they going to not just decimate these 2 individual gangs, but also figure out some way to prevent the fight over the space they've already controlled?
Well, and that's with the other suspects that you were talking about. Do they have gang affiliation? Do we know? Or what do we know about the other suspects in this case?
According to police, they're both in the same gang as Corey Morgan. And they're saying that they've been in this fight with a gang that they're saying Tyshawn Lee's father is a part of. Of course, again, he's saying he's not. Yeah. And they're saying they've been going back and forth and that they're going to target both of them.
Is this the type of thing where gangs could now be going after children? I know you said there was another case, a 4-year-old, now a 9-year-old. I mean, it seems like that's just so heinous. Like, how could anyone do that?
Yeah, this is kind of unique. I mean, you've seen things where children get caught up in the crossfire, and that's what happened in that previous example with the Maniac Latin Disciples. But the fact that this was kind of described as an execution, they're saying that these people lured him from a basketball game at a park to an alley where they killed him. That's where police are saying it's different, and that's why they said that they got a lot of tips from the community. There's this kind of there's this idea that people don't help police, that the no snitching thing, and police were really adamant about the fact that community members were the ones who helped them get to these arrests.
What's kind of the next step in the process here?
Well, that's what we're hoping to see. I mean, on the one hand, they're saying they're going full force after these gangs. Obviously, these people are going to be charged. Corey Morgan is going to have a bond hearing later today, and they're trying to arrest one other person. So there's going to be this judicial process, but then also this gang response that we're waiting to see.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it all shakes out. Graham, thanks so much for being with us today. We appreciate you coming in.
Thanks.
Remember, you can track investigations and read up on the big crime stories of the day at cbsnews.com/Crime Insider.